And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, into game 2 here between Pendulum Gaming and Glacial Academy. I'm Random Minion Caster, and on the blue side this game, we've got Pendulum Gaming. On the red side, Glacial Academy. No changes in the players here, but certainly a big change in the draft, in the picks and bans in the draft, pardon me here. So on the blue side, for Pendulum Gaming, for bans, they're going to stay with similar bans here. Olaf, Pike, Nico, Galio, Felio. So the only change up here going to be that Galio here. They don't really want to risk having to deal with the global comp. They felt the Nocturne was fine, but I guess they didn't feel comfortable with the potential that Galio had as well. And for Glacial Academy, definitely a little bit of a change up here. They're going to continue banning out the Urgot here for Killer Unicorns, but they're going to ban out the Caitlyn for Snugglebutt this time. The traps, the range, and the damage he could just safely put out was just a nightmare for the side of Glacial Academy. And they're going to ban out the Yasuo. Solid call on that. That is, I mean, when the guy calls himself the Yasuo only, definitely not something you want him to get his hands on too comfortably unless you have a specific counter prepared for it. And they're going to ban out the Diana as well, just to make sure Yasuo only doesn't get something comfortable. And so now for picks, Pendulum happy to pick themselves up the Nautilus once again for Killer Lil Ninja in the support role. Going with the J4 as well for Timic, which did so well in the last game. Just clairvoyant with the counter ganks. They're always making sure he was where he needed to be to stop Kamehameha Wave. And they're going to change up the ADC into that Misfortune here. And that is a really solid combination we've seen a lot of with that Dredge line, with the depth charge into the bullet time. And we've seen Snugglebutt play the MF to great effect before, so we might see it here again. And then for the solo lanes, it's going to be Veigar, Renekton. And normally we would expect that Veigar to be in the mid lane. We've seen it a lot with especially Duero here, but for Pendulum Gaming, specifically for Killer Unicorns, he has pulled it out into the top lane before. So we'll have to see if that's where it ultimately goes as well, whether it goes top or mid. And the Renekton here could also go mid or top. We have seen it mid, I believe, last split, in the spring split. Not sure we've seen it here in the summer split. So will be interesting. Would fit Yasuo only's play style, but I don't think I've seen him play it before. Now on the red side for Glacial Academy, they are switching up their picks completely this game. They're going with the Thresh, Volibear, Maokai, Ashe, and Annie. So hugely different composition here, and I'm actually quite liking their draft in this game too, significantly more, with that safety from the Thresh for Ashe, for Mazir lane on Ashe in that bot lane. And then they've got a nice tanky front line with King Tyrus, with Kamehameha Wave, a bit more tank than they had last game with only the Ornn there from that top lane. And with the Ornn nerfs right now, I think the Maokai is just a tad bit stronger in that top lane a little bit, in the laning phase as well as out of it. Will not be able to give his team the item upgrade, so if they go into the late game, it might be a bit of an issue. But then again, they already have the stronger composition barring that Veigar, so will be really solid here for them. And the Annie as well for SSJ Godfist. They are focusing a lot more into team fights. And the other thing I really like is they've got plenty of ways to interrupt that bullet time, because it's been proven thus far in the league the best way to deal with an MF is just to shut her down as soon as she tries to get that bullet time going here. Now, with that being said, Pendulum still has an extremely solid team fighting composition with the Cataclysm into bullet time there. We've seen that so often, and like I said, with the combination with the Nautilus, they are able to set up the bullet times extremely effectively for Snugglebutt. It's a question of just whether they can keep Snugglebutt safe from the engage. And with the Event Horizon from the Veigar there, whether it be Yasuo only or Killer Unicorns, they should have absolutely no problem here stopping the engage, stopping the dives that will come out trying to kill Snugglebutt here. So will be a very solid composition from Pendulum Gaming. And ultimately, I think it's going to come down to if they can find those picks, find favorable fights, starting them off with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from Mazir lane on the Ashe, or whether they can just instantly delete someone with the Annie from SSJ Godfist. And with that, the teams are going to be able to load up here. And if we do take a look at the blue side, it will be Killer Unicorns on that Vygar top lane once again. As an analyst, I'm not a fan of Vygar in the top lane, but as a caster, I love to see these unorthodox picks, and seeing Killer Unicorns take that Vygar into the top lane is absolutely great. I do think he will have a rough time of it though against the Maokai, one of the few champions who can just completely bypass that event horizon altogether and just engage quite comfortably onto the Vygar. So might be a little tough for Killer Unicorns in lane, especially if we do see some ganks topped up there, and Yasuo only on the Renekton into that mid lane as well. The melee into range matchup, but the Renekton very, very mobile for a melee champion, so she might be able to engage comfortably onto the Annie. We'll have to see that one. I'm not really familiar with that particular matchup. But either way, this should mean lots and lots of engagements and fights across all three lanes here. In that bot lane, the Thresh versus Nautilus matchup, we've seen it plenty here, and Nautilus seems to get a little bit of the edge here in that particular matchup. A bit of a counter pick to a Thresh, because he'd be more than happy to get hooked up and get those engages into the fight there. Will be able to win trades if they do extend it out, and Mazir lane just going to look for pokes before they get any sort of engage here. Both junglers happy to start up their blue buffs here. So we aren't going to see a completely mirrored matchup where both junglers are going to show top. And last game we saw Timic not usually being proactive in the gank, more counter ganking a lot. And I'm very curious to see if we're going to see the same here in this game, because he's the one, I mean, he's got a really strong early level ganking with that J4 at level 2, level 3. Last game things kind of went askew when the tower dives went oh so wrong in the early game. So this game I'm curious to see if he will be able to get a couple more ganks off early and get himself snowballing here for Pendulum, because they have really, really strong early to mid and should be able to win out most of their fights here. And actually, it's not going to be Killer Unicorns going to the top lane with the Vygar. Instead, they're opting just for a flat-out lane swap. So we'll still be Vygar versus Annie. It's just going to be Killer Unicorns versus SHJ Godfist in the top lane. The Renekton into the Maokai. Yasuo only facing King Tyrus here. And I think that will be a much more favorable matchup for Killer Unicorns there. But it will mean a much less, I think, aggressive, action-filled early game here from both teams, because both the top lanes, well, in the mid lane at least, they're going to want to hit their level 6. And when they hit 6, I think will be very, very explosive with the Tibbers, with the Primordial Burst available. A ton of burst here between both mid laners, potential hundreds to zeros, depending on who can catch whom. In the top lane though, we will probably see a lot more dueling, with Yasuo only on the Renekton wanting to apply pressure early before he starts really falling off, before King Tyrus can start building those resistances here. But that's a Maokai. Really, I'm not expecting to see any kills, just a lot of fighting to no end instead. And in the bot lane, both bot laners did hit level 3 now, and yet no really hard engages there from both sides, interestingly enough. We do see the scuttle here being taken by the side of Pendulum Gaming in the spot side. Glacial Academy going to pick up the top one instead, and Timic, despite being in that bot side, doesn't look like he's going to get any ganks. Instead, we did see Snugglebutt and Killer Lil Ninja roaming out of lane to get this really aggressive ward here, which will be able to spot out Kamehameha Wave if he shows up for that Gromp. And same as game 1 here, it looks like Pendulum just having the better laners across the board pretty much. In the top lane, Yasuo only finding a lead for himself, expected with that Renekton into the Maokai, but mid lane as well, Killer Unicorns finding a level lead as well as a CS lead, and that bodes very, very poorly for SSJ, because when Killer Unicorns hit 6, he could potentially look to burst down SSJ here. And Timic sneaking into that bot lane. Bush gonna flash, look for the engage, will get the flash out of Mazir lane as well with that flag and drag engage. That's going to be flash traded for flash here. Wave, pardon me, tripping over that name a little bit, was in the area, but he's out of mana, so even if he could show up, would not really be able to do much besides just applying auto attacks and trying to tank up some skill shots here. But they will disengage after that failed gank into the bot lane. And we'll have to see if Timic does revisit that bot lane now that he's blown the flash. Last game, he blew King Tyrus' flash multiple times, but did not follow up on that one. So we'll have to see if he does the same in the bot side here. And that will be a Cloud Drake to start things off here. Not the best Drake, but certainly not the worst one either. To start things off, 10% cooldown reduction is valuable, and a beautiful death sentence will interrupt the dredge line. The Mazir lane gonna take a lot of damage. MF better in the early game for trades, and Bombard Gankin's gonna have to flash himself out after a good play to stop the engage for now. And in the battle of the hookers, it looks like Thresh's hook, gonna be the more valuable one, is able to stop the dredge line, whereas dredge line not looking like it can really cancel the death sentence for now. Now Timic looking for the top lane, but King Tyrus was already getting shoved in, so he's under turret, and remembering what happened in game 1, he's not gonna want to dive this one up there. Especially not into a Maokai who already has Nature's Grasp available there for himself. Can lock him under turret for quite a significant amount of time. One other thing with this top lane here is the changes to Conqueror. It's changed from 10 stacks to 12 stacks. The overall damage remains pretty much the same. It just takes longer to stack up here. And Renekton is a bit of a caster, so still will be able to stack that fairly quickly, but it might take him just a little bit longer in these trades. So in the short trades, King Tyrus will have a bit more of advantage than he otherwise might have enjoyed. Now mid lane, both mid laners here are level 6, have the ultimates available, and we are seeing Kill Unicorns go in. Does he have enough mana to get the last primordial burst off? It looks like he doesn't, and the ignite coming out here from SSJ Godfist is gonna have to force him to base. But SSJ Godfist has to be very, very careful, because we might see Killer Unicorn just teleporting in, use that speed boost to engage. Instead, Timic looking for the flag and drag will force the flash out of SSJ Godfist instead. And Killer Unicorns, with that happening, will not feel the need to teleport back into lane right away. Looks like he's just gonna walk back in slowly there. But that still will give him a bit of an advantage. He can look to poke SSJ Godfist out. If he can get SSJ below half health, he can all in after he just bases and teleports back into lane. And he does still have the lane advantage here in terms of CS, in terms of experience. Timic showing up to force out SSJ Godfist was actually huge, because it continues to give that lead in the mid lane to Killer Unicorns a little bit. And we do see Vision being fought over in the Drake Pit versus Pendulum clearing things out. Now it's Kamehameha Wave for Glacial Academy clearing it out. The Stormbringer coming out from Kamehameha Wave, and the hook on to Killer Little Ninja might see him go down here as SSJ Godfist has arrived. Event Horizon coming down as well. But Killer Unicorn's in a bit of an awkward position, and now Snugglebot has to run. Has to be careful he doesn't get hit by this death sentence, but he does, and it's going to mean he's very, very dead. The fight now starting up 5v3, but the amount of poke they're putting down is amazing. We are going to see Kamehameha Wave getting melted down. Bombard Gankin soon to follow, and Yasuo only from the side did teleport in. Might be able to pick himself up a kill here onto SSJ Godfist. Just finally lands it. The Event Horizon will not catch King Tyrus. The flash is good. He'll survive that fight, and that was a 4-for-2, it looked like, at the end of that fight, after what looked like it was such a good initiate from Glacial Academy. And that should be a free dragon now here for the side of Pendulum Gaming. It was just the extended fight here, the drawing out of that, everything blown. Glacial Omen has a lot of bursts here with SSJ Godfist, but they don't have a lot of sustained damage when Tibber goes down. And when Mazir Lane gets caught out early, they just can't win any extended fight for themselves. Killer Unicorns on that Veigar. Veigar known to be an incredibly high burst champion, but it's not just all about that primordial burst. The cooldown on the Baleful Strike and Dark Matter are fairly low as well, so he can continue to pump those out in rotation after rotation if things aren't wrapped up quickly here. And so you have to focus that Vigar down. Can't leave him alive and just outputting damage. And now he's 2-0-2. And we've seen so many times now in the league what happens when a Vigar gets a hit early. He already skills so monstrously here. And this is that Glacial Augment Vigar. This is not the Dark Harvest super damage Vigar. It's that utility Vigar which can provide slows, can look for engage, and can kite around a lot of these fights here. And with the team composition from Glacial Academy, when you look at their picks, really, besides King Tyrus here, they don't have a ton of gap closing and gauge options onto Killer Unicorn. So that Glacial Augment going to do a ton of work. The flag comes down, the drag not so much, but Event Horizon is there. Cataclysm as well. Primordial Burst coming up, but they didn't have enough damage to take him down. And now it's going to be Killer Unicorns running for the hills. His Primordial Burst already used. And unfortunately, Timmic going to pay the price for that miscalculation there. Now King Tyrus has to be careful he doesn't get collapsed on here. Yasuo only zoning away from that top lane, but with the threat of SSJ Godfist, despite the Timbers already being used and the burst not available there, Killer Unicorn's not comfortable trying to go up there, does not want to end up in that 1v1 against SSJ Godfist for now. And looking at the items here, I do like the Merc Treads pickup here for SSJ Godfist a lot. It gives him the additional movement speed to get out of these unfavorable trades in the mid lane, as well as allowing him to get out of that Event Horizon that much faster. Can dodge out the Dark Matter if they do it right. So a really solid pickup right now, and it is paying dividends in that mid lane. We are seeing SSJ Godfist able to poke down Killer Unicorns quite safely with the additional movement speed, able to kite out before the Event Horizon can be put down, and they can reply to the poke from Annie there. Despite that, the CS leads in the lanes continue to grow here for the side of Pendulum Gaming, and unlike in game 1, they are not behind in gold right now. They are up about 1,600 gold team wide here, and they do also have the better scaler in the form of that Vigar as well. So really, it's up to Glacial Academy to try and close this game out here. They don't want to be in a position where they have to deal with a Vigar with 200 stacks. He already does have, it looks like, 105 stacks, 505 ability power at 12 minutes. Now top lane, a gank coming in, the Cataclysm right away to make sure King Tyrus can't get out of there. He doesn't have the flash available, but he's so tanky, he manages to wait it out, and Yasuo only does not have the Fury of the Sands available, will not feel comfortable diving this one. Well played from King Tyrus to continue staying alive. The flag and drag though, can it fight him? No! The Maokai passive will be able to return the kill over. That's a 1-for-1, and while all that was happening, Kamehameha Wave managed to pick himself up the Herald there and might now look for a kill onto Yasuo only. Can he find it? Yasuo only able to slice and dice his way out of this one. Kamehameha diving in, but he did not use the Stormbringer on the turret, so he's going to tank this one up. Will be able to find the kill, but that's a 1-for-1 trade again. And it just looks like neither of these teams really having much success with their turret dives here. We saw it in game 1, and now we're seeing it in game 2 here. Questionable use of that Volibear ultimate, off that Stormbringer from Kamehameha Wave here. If he was going to dive that turret, he would have been better served using under the turret at rank 1 here. Would have given him 3 seconds of invulnerability, or of the turret not being usable. And that could have been the difference between surviving that gank and going down there. And now we do see the Drake is coming up. It is going to be Mountain Drake spawning in about 3 seconds. Not necessarily the most valuable at this point, but it certainly will scale up, and onto that Maokai and onto that Volibear can mean all the difference here between surviving team fights and initiates. For the side of SSJ, Godfist, a solid flash to keep him out alive. The Flag and Dragon, the Cataclysm, so now he's locked in there. You can't run from that, and Timmic able to pick that one up. Tibbers gonna chase for now, but Killer Unicorns didn't quite land the Baleful Strike, unfortunately. Will not get the stack for that one, but Tibbers still gonna go down there, and that's gonna be yet another Drake going the way of Pendulum Gaming here. You know, last week when we saw Glacial Academy play against Roar Yordle, we did mention that they seem to do well from a hit, but there's some questions on their ability to come back from behind. And unfortunately, this week as well, into Pendulum Gaming so far, it doesn't look too good for the side of Glacial Academy here in terms of their ability to come back from when they're behind. Because again, this game, they're just seeding objective after objective, getting caught out, getting killed here across the map, and we're not seeing coordinated ganks. Now, Kamehameha Wave running down into Killer Unicorns. The flash coming out early, and Timic in the area as well. Stopwatch going to be used to ensure that they can't kill him there. And that's going to be another failed gank. Kamehameha Wave taking a ton of poke. Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming out. A beautiful sidestep from Killer Unicorns there to keep him alive. And we do see Kamehameha Wave dropping the Herald point blank into that mid lane turret here. Will be able to charge and get the damage off for him. And just, you can't brute force a gank onto a Vigar like that without a gap closer. Event Horizon coming up will stun Kamehameha under turret, and he'll just get bursted down before he can find anything onto Killer Unicorns there. And that's going to be a free kill going the way of Timic there. It looks like these could be the signs here of Glacial Academy's mental breaking a little bit. A flash dredge line coming up from Killer Lil Ninja. Just barely gonna miss out Mazir lane there, but will still prompt them to back and buy. The Blade of the Ruin completed. The Blade of the Ruin King, pardon me, completed here for Mazir lane. Now is gonna finally be able to match up the Essence Reaver from Snugglebutt. But while the Blade of the Ruin King is a solid item, it's not quite the same as an Essence Reaver in that bot lane there. It will help to shred down tanks, will help to take down Yasuo, only give a bit more lifesteal as well for sustain. But just the raw damage that Snugglebutt can put down with the Essence Reaver completed is still going to make this one a slightly mismatched bot lane if it comes down to fights. And then you look at the mid lane and just SSJ Godfist not having a fun time of it. Those Glacial augments here with the GLP completed as well right now. Able to control the zone, and we finally see the first turret of the game going down. Once again, it's going to be Pendulum Gaming picking that one up. Play coming across, but bullet time going to come out. And we do see the damage comes out. The depth charge going to be a little slow here. A good death sentence from Bombar Gankins. But this might mean he goes down in exchange for Mazir lane here. Mazir lane not wanting any part of that. Did run out, was extremely low. So they do trade support's life here from Bombar Gankins for Mazir lanes instead. And another gank attempt into the mid lane. And again, failing to find anything there. That GLP with the Event Horizon, such a potent combination against a jungler like Volibear, who has to run in there, doesn't have a gap closer like that flag and drag that Jarvan has here. Doesn't like the repel that Elise might carry, or just the dash from her graves. If you have to run into that, it's just so difficult to find those ganks. And once again, they're going to be safe, and that's going to be another turret going down. 2 turrets in quick rapid succession here for Pendulum Gaming, and they're starting to find leads. And in game 2 we saw that once they find those leads, they don't often give it back. They just slowly choke out the opponents here. Herald will be coming up in about 20 seconds here. We saw the pings coming down from the side of Glacial Academy. So Glacial Academy aware it's there, and they might pick that to be the next hill that they're willing to die on here against Pendulum Gaming. And I don't think they win any straight up 5v5s right now. Somehow though, Kamehameha Wave able to find a level lead onto Timic here, and that's the only real advantage they have. In terms of gold, he is up 600 in the jungle, and that level lead is more important because it means that when it comes to a smite fight, Kamehameha Wave could look to get a steal on the neutral objective. And now in the top lane, Kamehameha looking for a gank here. He's got SSJ, Godfist, and Bombar Gankins to back him up as well. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is coming out, and it will land onto Killer Lil Ninja. And that's going to be CC for days, as well as the damage coming out. Glacial Academy firing back, and they're showing signs of life right now, which is great. They're being more proactive than they were in the last game. And they're gonna look for the Herald. They will get spotted out here. It looks like ST Snugglebutt hanging around in the area, and Killer Unicorns there as well. Can he burst Bombard Gankins down? Yes, he can. 100 to 0 in one combo, but that event horizon being down means that Kamehameha Wave can finally look for the engage. Killer Unicorns know he's dead, so he's going to look to try and put down whatever damage he can. Nature's Grasp will grasp Snugglebutt there, and he's going to go down to Kamehameha Wave as well, and that's ultimately going to be a 2-for-1 here in favor of Glacial Academy. They do stop the Herald take at least for now, but now Ocean Drake is up and they're gonna look for that one instead. Killer Unicorns does have teleport available, will be up in 10 seconds roughly there. The question is, can the rest of Pendulum stall out long enough for now? They have all three tanks here for themselves. We do see Timic over the wall. He's looking to go in. He won't not be able to win that smite fight. Kamehameha Wave able to pick that one up, but they might win the resulting fight as Killer Unicorns does show up with that teleport. Kamehameha Wave going to get melted right off the bat. King Tyrus soon to follow, and Bombard the last man to go down there as he throws his body in there, trying to buy time for SSJ, Godfist, and Mazir to escape. And they do secure at least themselves the dragon here, but what are they going to lose in exchange? Because Pendulum not going to be happy about losing that objective. Wins the fight, gets themselves the 3 kills, and looking to get themselves the turret as well here. And that's going to be a mid lane inner turret cracked open. They did not get the Herald, but why do they need it if they can just brute force these turrets instead? And Yasuo only did push the wave up in that bot lane. They're going to group up and see if they can siege up this inner turret here. Do have quite a bit of AD damage. Could potentially just look to shred this one down before Glacial Omen can properly respond. The event horizon coming down, but the turret goes down. The bullet time will be enough to shred down Bombard Gankins, and kill credit for that one gonna go the way of Yasuo only. The man is 6-1 and 4 right now. Only sitting on the Blade of the Rune King as well as the mallet there, the phage for himself, but he is sitting on quite a bit of gold, over 2,000 here. Will be able to pick himself up some nice items the next time he goes back to shop. Pendulum Gaming, despite losing that Herald, does extend their gold lead significantly. They're now up about 7,000 and change right now. Has completed the Black Cleaver as well for Yasuo only. So with that Fury of the Sands, he'll be able to put down a lot of damage, shred a lot of armor, and that will help a lot in the team fights. Timic as well picking up a Black Cleaver for himself. They won't be able to increase the amount of stacks that they can put on, but it will help them stack a lot faster as well. And that will benefit Snugglebutt a lot. Did not go the lethality build on the Misfortune, but has a lot of damage. And now Kamehameha Wave potentially getting caught out here. Will use the Stormbreak to disengage. Does not decide to take the Blast Cone, and that might put him in a bit of a sticky situation here. And Yasuo only more than happy to chase this one down. The Flag and Drag Cataclysm combo will be used with the flash, and that's going to be unavailable for Timic for the next little while, but they've killed the jungler, and this means they should have no problems whatsoever securing this Baron here. King Tyrus is going to split push in that bot lane, but he's a very tanky tree, does not have the damage here to take this one down quickly. By the time he takes that down, the Baron itself might also be down. Bombard Gankins and SSJ Godfist looking to see if they can try and stop this for now. They're dropping tons of wards, and Killer Little Ninja is clearing it. That means as long as he's clearing it, they're giving vision. So they will have the timer. Will SSJ go over the wall? No, he won't. They're just going to back that one out, give that over, and they're going to lose 2 turrets for it because Mazir lane was pushing the mid lane as well. Baron for 2. It's actually a pretty good trade here for Glacial Academy, considering that they knew they had no business trying to take the Baron here. And that gold leads slowly ballooning, sliding up towards that 8,000 gap here. And with that Baron buff on the side of Pendulum Gaming, we'll have to see where they decide to look for it. Game 1, they played it methodical. If they decide to do that again, they're going to look for that top lane inner turret that is exposed right now. But alternatively, they could just look to brute force one of these inhibitor turrets right now. I mean, Yasuo only building the Executioner's Calling. He looks like he's still going kind of aggressive for now. Has picked himself up a cloth armor as well as that now magic mantle. So starting to build a little bit of tank, but not a ton. just quite yet, so might not feel comfortable diving the turrets, but he can afford to split push quite comfortably. And they're going with the 1-3-1. They've got Yasuo only in that bot lane. They've got Killer Unicorns in that top wave, and everybody else in the mid lane. And just the level lead, that 1 level lead, as well as that ton of gold there. 3,000 gold lead for Yasuo only ensures that they will have to send at least 2 people to deal with him. And they sent everybody after Killer Unicorns in that top wave. Though he spotted it out, there was a ward that they cleared going up there. And he was able to back off with the Glacial Augment, with the Event Horizon. It will be extremely safe to get out. And instead, they're going to apply a ton of damage into that mid lane turret. 2/3 of health already shaved off that inhibitor turret here. And they're just getting dragged around by Pendulum. They've had to send 2 to go deal with Yasuo only. And the damage Snugglebutt can put down is huge. Once that turret goes down, they can look for the engage. And once again, Bombard Gang gets 100-0 right away. And Kamehameha Wave jumping back into the fight, just trying to buy time with his body, but it will not be enough. He's going to get shredded down as well, and that's going to be Inhibitor going down. The flash dredge line from Lil Ninja will find King Tyrus, but that's not necessarily the target. The one he's so tanky. Timid going in as well will get taken down. A combination of the bear and the tree. Gonna find that one, but Yasuo only able to take down the Inhibitor turret. He's looking for SSJ Godfist. Can he find him here? He's got the Fear of the Sands taking down, but that Blade of the Ruined King from Mazir doing work will be able to shred him down, but he steps out a little bit too far. Will get taken down by a meteor from space, and now it's going to be Snuggle, but taken down again by the turret. We need to have a turret kill counter going this game here, or this series. The MVP of this series so far being those turrets. They've managed to kill another 3 at least this game that I can recall. 2 from those top lane fill dives, and they claim another kill in the form of Snugglebutt. And that will stop Pendulum's push for now. They are going to have to stop and reset. They're really low on health. They have options now. Are they going to look for that Ocean Drake in the bot lane? Are they going to look for that top lane inner turret? It is horrifically exposed right now, and their super minions going to be pushing in from both mid and bot lane as well. So that's going to split up Glacial Academy. Yeah, and Renekton not yet tanky. Looks like he's going for that Death's Dance here for tankiness, but he hasn't really built a ton of health. He relied a little bit too much on that Fury of the Sands in that last fight, diving past the turret there. A bit overextended from his team, and with the CC they can put out, with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, with the passive stun from Annie as well, it's easy kills. And now Bombard Gankins might be a little too deep here. We see him burst time after time. Instead, it's going to be Kamehameha Wave just diving in, trying to get that dragon, but it'll be too little, too late. He'll go down along with that Ocean Drake, and at this point, Glacial Academy just... I think they've kind of given up here a little bit. They've sent King Tyrus to face off against Yasuo only, but with that Blade of the Ruined King, with the Black Cleaver, you can evidently see that did not work out well for them. That's going to be 2 more kills going the way of Pendulum, and they are going to hunt down for SSJ Godfist. They're going to burn a bunch of ultimates, bullet time raking across, but it's going to be Timic picking that one up after he uses the Cataclysm. They're just going to look to end the game here. Just be Mazir, Lena, Bombard trying to save this one up there. They're not tanky enough. Bombard gonna get shredded. The Nexus turret as well, and now Mazir getting dove, working out much better this time. Can the turret find another kill? No, it can't. It gets taken down before it finds Killer Lil Ninja, and that's gonna be game going to Pendulum Gaming here. They find themselves yet another kill and another game really in this series. It was quite a one-sided game here in Game 2. Pendulum found their leads early, never let off the gas, and Glacial Academy seeming to show a weakness here in the last 2 weeks, that they don't know how to play from behind against Roar Yordles, against Pendulum Gaming. These are the 2 top-of-the-table teams right now, first and second place respectively, and if Glacial Academy can't find a way to be more resilient and come back from behind, they're going to have to start drafting compositions that look for just early game leads here, just looking to snowball off wins in the early game, and that's just something that's kind of a risky choice for themselves. And we just look across here, Kamehameha Wave still able to try and make plays happen. 6, 7, and 1 for his team here. But Mazir Lane and Bombar Gankin's really struggling in these two series to find any way to get into the fights. Mazir Lane never really hit the point where he had that item lead, could just sit back and shred everybody, and was just squishy as well, just constantly getting popped fight after fight. And SSJ Godfist in the mid lane just also not really able to find strong, solid ways to come back. Was oppressed game 1 by Yasuo only's Yasuo, and here in game 2, again in lane, lost out to Killer Unicorn's Vigar pick here. So Glacial Academy will have their homework cut out for them this week. The good news for them, though, is that we are only into week 4 here. And it's just the halfway mark. So they've got 2 more weeks in the regular season to sort of scout out and try and figure out ways to get back to basically just find wins here for themselves. At this point, they have yet to find their first series win for themselves. They are 0-4 now after this game here in terms of series. And we have seen them put up some good fights, but just a good fight isn't enough. They still need to find themselves ways to get onto the scoreboard here. And with that, Pendulum going to find themselves yet another win. Their only loss thus far at the hands of Roar Yoros, the #1 team. And both these teams just looking really, really strong for themselves. And the later game for today in the evening, we have at 5 p.m. EST, Hype Esports facing off against Roar Yoros as well. So that will definitely be a great game to watch and see if Roar Yoros can continue their undefeated streak right now in the league. And with that, we're pretty much done here with this series. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the series as well, and hope I'll see you guys later this evening for the 5 p.m. game here. Have a good one and be safe out there.